The New Orleans Saints have the worst salary cap situation in the NFL in 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, today that is the topic of conversation. Pro Football Focus released their 2025 NFL salary cap tracker, which ranks all 32 NFL teams by cap space, and the Saints are at the bottom, so we will talk about that. Brock Bowers looking jacked, stacked, succulent, and dense in this photo. That's 10 grams of creatine if I've ever seen it. That's what life is all about right there. All right, so here it is. Here's all 32 teams ranked. Number one, our best, is the Patriots with $120 million of cap space. Worst, $52 million over the cap, the New Orleans Saints. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get on down in the comments below. I'm going to allow you 10 seconds to type up the Mickey Loomis sucks the Saints are in hell, salary cap hell the Saints are going nowhere fast Saints dumpster franchise Type those comments, and we're all going to submit them together. This will be fun. This will be a little bit of a group activity, kind of an icebreaker, if you will, something to bring the community together. All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. What the hell is this? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold the fort. 2020. Okay, $52 million over the cap. Okay, bad. Yes. Wait, the comments are back. Hold on. We might still be publishing. 2026, $60 million under the cap. Wait a minute, that doesn't seem bad. 2027, $220 million under the cap. What? 2027. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. Scott Shanley. What would he know? What would he know about this, though? You know, what would Scott Shanley know about? Okay, we're just going to throw this out. So let's just recap. In 2025, the Saints have $52 million over the cap. Okay, that checks out. But in 2026, they have $60 million under the cap. In 2027, they have $221 million under the cap. That seems really good. Ladies and gentlemen, today in the video, we are going to talk about the New Orleans Saints salary cap situation. We're going to talk about a little bit of context, a little bit of perspective on exactly what's going on with this roster, with the cap, how we got here, and where we go moving forward. Now, I did trick you a little bit with the comments, okay? I did trick you. I know a lot of people love to copy-paste the salary cap stuff in between switching from their Dan Dangler subreddit tab to dump all over the cap sitch. But like we all know, the salary cap is fugazi. And like we all know, no one has ever been stopped playing because they can't pay the bills. And the Saints are in a very unique cap situation. So how do we get here? Okay, let's do a history lesson. This whole thing was devised during Breeze's playing time. Breeze is playing. The Saints get an influx of talent quickly. So the decision is made to kick the can down the road, as some people like to say, to keep the core group of players together to try and win in that Breeze window. Remember, you can't spell window without win. People forget that. So once that happened, we saw players like Michael Thomas, Cam Jordan, Ryan Ramczyk, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, start signing these contracts. Marshawn Lattimore, start signing these contracts. Now, in order to keep that group together to try and win, the can was kicked down the road, and money was restructured and moved forward, and bonuses and cash and all this other stuff. Now, what happens is naturally that window closes. Naturally, players get older. Naturally, players get worse. They get injured. They retire. They get traded. They get released, whatever. And that money has to, at some point, hit a finish line. It has to, at some point, hit a wall. You can't just push contracts on forever. This isn't baseball, right? Like baseball, we see teams sign players to 50-year contracts, where Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid by the Mets, and he hasn't played in, 2 decades. So what we have said on this channel, though, is that, yes, that situation, you are kind of like risking it all. In that situation, you are kind of mortgaging your future for your present, but at some point, it comes due. And like we've said on this channel a million times, it is coming due now. Like over the next 2 years, a majority of those contracts that were pushed are going to naturally expire. And we're going to take a look at the Saints roster and show all the contracts to show what I'm talking about. That is how you get to this. You get to this because 2025 is the rock bottom, the yo-yo point. The bungee cord goes all the way down before the cap starts going back up, before those contracts start to naturally expire. So let's take a look. This is every contract on the books right now. Derek Carr ends in 2026, but we know that could end as soon as June 1st if they decide to move off of Carr. Ryan Ramczyk, we know that he's retiring. We reported that last year, that he was only on the roster because they couldn't eat the dead cap, so they paid him to restructure and exist and then retire this year. So he's off the books. McCoy, that's fine. Granderson, fine. Ruiz, fine. Taysom Hill, his contract ends in 2025. This will get restructured, and then he'll be gone pecan. Cam Jordan ends in 2025. Could be restructured, could be traded, could be whatever. Kamara just signed. Pete Werner, that's fine. Olave, rookie contract. Fuaga, rookie contract. Davis ends in 2025. Nathan Shepard, 2025. Trevor Penning, rookie contract. Tyrann Mathieu, 2026. Could be restructured. Chase Young, already expired. Peyton Turner, 2025. Kalen Saunders, 2025. Brian Brzee, rookie contract. Foster Moreau, 2025. Jamal Williams, 2025. Juwan Johnson, see you later. Like, this is Alontae Taylor, Isaiah Foskey. Like, you look at all these numbers, it's all 2025, 2026, with more than likely a restructure to completely change how the contract is set up. So this shows you the plan. Like, this shows you the context. This shows you the perspective. So this idea that, like, the Saints are a poverty franchise forever, or that they're a dumpster franchise forever, or that they're going to be stuck in cap hell, everyone's favorite buzzword, forever, is just not true. And when you look at this through this lens, and we look at this through this context, it shifts the importance of everything. What is not important is these numbers. What's not important are these contracts. What's important is the draft class. How do you rebuild? How do the Saints go from being where they are now, which is not good, to back to their winning ways? The easiest algorithm in the history of the world. You flush out old, expensive contracts, a la Derek Carr, Ryan Ramczyk, Taysom Hill, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu. You flush those out, and you bring in young, impactful players on cheap deals. What does that remind you of? 2016 and 2017. That is exactly what the Saints did. The Saints were struggling. Breeze was struggling. Peyton was struggling. There was real questions about where the franchise was going. All of a sudden, in walks Mark Ingram, Marshawn Lattimore, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Ryan Ramczyk. The list goes on. And all of a sudden, the Saints are back at it like a crack addict for 5 years, and we're trying to win Super Bowls. The answer is the draft. We have to hit these draft picks. We have to hit, in this year, every pick. There ain't no time for developmental players. You got to get players who can come in, play at an all-pro level, and be the new foundation and the new core of this franchise. Something I see all the time, and I read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments a day. Something I read all the time is that the Saints are going nowhere fast, and it's going to take 5 years, 10 years to rebuild. It is not, okay? We have the opportunity to rebuild in the next 3 years. The next 3 years, we could have completely flushed these contracts, completely flushed the money, all the roster could be completely turned over, and have a completely new coaching staff. We are on the precipice. Word of the day. We are on the what is this witch genie thing going on over here? I can't stop looking at her. What is this? What is going on here? She's like half tornado, half spider, half witch, but I'm in love with her. All right. Here, what the hell was I even talking about? Oh yeah, the precipice, the word of the day. We are right there. This is the time to be excited. You are right in front of what could be the next Drew Brees era, the next Sean Payton era, the next Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore. That next era could be right upon you. Now, you could say, I don't trust Mickey Loomis to make the right draft picks or whatever. Whatever. Sure. Absolutely. He could fail with the coaching search. He could fail with the draft picks. All that could fail, no doubt. But the opportunity is there. All right. The hope is there. And sometimes in life, hope is all you need. Okay. And this isn't a pro Loomis video. This isn't a negative Loomis video. This is strictly a look at what's going on. Strictly a look at the context. Strictly a look at the perspective. Okay? That is where we're at. And now I'll say this, caveat. These numbers, like the salary cap, these numbers are fugazi. All right? You will not be $60 million under the cap because you have to get this under the cap. So you're going to move some of this money around, the $52 million, which will affect this and could affect this. All right. So let's just say you trim some of this. All right. Let's just kind of move it around just a little bit. I mean, $221 million is insane. Like right now, the Patriots have the most cap space and they have $120 million. So you're not going to be $100 million over that. But if you trim $100 million off of this, if you trim $100 million off this and you trim $40 million off this, you're $20 million under the cap, and then you're $100 million under the cap. So things are looking up, okay? And I feel like this is something that not a lot of people are aware of because it's so easy to flip on ESPN 104.5 and listen to 5 hours of the same exact talking points where they all say, Mickey Loomis bad, salary cap hell, Saints suck, rant alert, But if you take 10 steps back and you look at what's going on, you can see exactly the plan. You can see like, well, yeah, it's kind of we're in a like a turnover point now. We're in a point to where that window is closed. Okay. So you have to flush it. You have to have those years where you're flushing old contracts, you're flushing aging players, you're retooling the roster. Like all that happens. We saw with the Eagles. The Eagles had like a 4-win season in between like Super Bowl teams where they had to flush contracts, they had to flush aging players, they had to be kind of down, restructures and things. All of a sudden, they go from all of that to a completely new roster, completely new coaches, completely new, like identity and all that stuff, and boom, they're back. It takes those yo-yo points, it takes those break points of critical mass to where you're moving in and out of windows. Unless you have a player like Tom Brady, who is the window, who stays for 20 years, or Patrick Mahomes or whatever. You don't really have those down years because, rising tides lift all ships. But that's what's going on with the Saints. And it's one of those things where, yeah, it sucks. Like, yeah, it obviously sucks to see players who are some of the cornerstones of your franchise either get older or get worse or get injured. Yeah, it sucks. Like, if you think about those Saints teams that were so fun to watch, no one thought a few years later Michael Thomas would be out of the NFL. No one thought a few years later Ryan Ramczyk would be retired. Like that. No one saw that coming. No one saw any of that happen. Marshawn Lattimore being traded, but it just happens. Taysom Hill, exact same thing. Like no one expected him to get injured the way he did, but it happens. And it's unfortunate, but we're on the front door of that new era. And, I have a sneaky feeling not a lot of people realize what's going on over the next couple of years. It's just easy to assume, and I feel like the media does this too, not just local media, but like national media. I feel like it's very easy to just tie the Saints to bad cap management, or that's just who the Saints are. Like they're always going to be over the cap. They're always going to operate in that space. And I don't think the Saints necessarily want to always be over the cap. I think they're just comfortable maneuvering the cap during that window. But it's not like it's going to be, that's not their plan forever. The plan forever isn't to pay Cam Jordan and Ryan Ramczyk. And like at some point, those players, the contracts naturally expire. So, I think this is good to have this context. And I would like to know in the comments, did you know this was coming? Did you know that we were on the downswing to where we were about to have a ton of cash, where the roster was about to be flushed out and we were looking at a ton of cap money? Or did you think, damn, I thought we were just screwed forever. I thought we were screwed for the next 10 years, 20 years. I thought we were in cap hell forever. I'd be interested to listen to that. Again, I don't want to see this in the comments. I don't want to see someone say, well, that $221 million isn't real. I know it's not real. I said that. I explained that. Take some off, restructure some, move it around. 60, could be 20, 60 could be 10, 221 could be 80, could be 100, whatever. The point still remains is that we are on an upswing right now. We are on that flush out the contracts, get new players, turn over the roster. It's another thing that I read all the time of people say, we're just going to keep kicking the can down the road. We're going to keep rolling this roster over. At a certain point, there is no roster to roll over. At a certain point, you can't keep rolling over Ryan Ramczyk. He has retired. You can't keep rolling over Marshall Lattimore. He's not on the team. You can't keep rolling over. Like, at some point, like Cam Jordan, you can't keep rolling over his contract once he either retires or leaves the team. It just naturally happens. And as I showed you, it is naturally happening as we speak. Like, think about all the players we just mentioned. There has to be replacements for Derek Carr, Ryan Ramczyk, Taysom Hill, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Chase Young, Peyton Turner, Foster Moreau, Jamal Williams, Juwan Johnson. Like, all these guys, there has to be replacements for them. So the question isn't how are we going to pay these guys. The question isn't how are we going to pay Cam Jordan, Taysom Hill, Demario Davis, Ryan Ramczyk, Derek Carr. The question is who's going to be the next Derek Carr, Ryan Ramczyk, Taysom Hill, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis. And the answer to that is the draft. So shift your focus to the draft. 9th overall pick. We got a hit. I'm excited for it. This is an exciting time to be a Saints fan. Get pumped. And let me know in the comments below if you learned something today, if you were surprised, or have you already completely minimized the video and you're knee deep in the Dan Dangler subreddit. Let me know. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.